All right. If you could please introduce yourself to my audience.
Sure. So my name is Ann Parelkar. I am a candidate for the United States Senate for the state of Kansas. I'm an immigration lawyer. I am married to a naturalized citizen from Mumbai, India. I have 2 kids who are in our public schools, and really I'm a Kansas mom that's just fed up with the status quo politics, people that don't work for us, and public servants just serving, well, who are supposed to be public servants, just serving themselves or parties or anything that's not us.
Thank you for being here today. Yeah, I've been wanting to interview you for a while. I know things are chaotic because we're quickly approaching
We're here. It's
primary elections.
Home stretch.
Specifically here in Kansas, there are so many Kansans upset with the dude running for re-election, Senator Roger Marshall, who doesn't live here, who is only a sycophant for the president, who just echoes his talking points, tries to kiss his butt. And so there's a lot of people running against him because they're like, oh, well, if we have an unpopular incumbent running for re-election, this is an opportunity to get some new voices. And so there are 11, we just talked about this, 11 folks competing in the Democratic primary. I have endorsed you, though, because I think you're awesome. And but also, of course, you've added Uncapping the House to your platform, which we'll talk about in a moment. But first, if you could just tell the audience why you decided to run.
So part of it actually is because our elected officials weren't listening to us. I, like a lot of people, I spent the first 4 years under Trump very angry at the right. Even my own family members, we didn't talk for a long time. Arguing with everyone online. I was like genuinely, I am guilty of sowing and spreading the division, right? Like, because we were all fighting each other and everything. My anger at the other side, my vitriol towards them, that's not working. That's not helping. You know, I was doing the protesting. I was calling my senators. I went to the Oakley Town Hall to confront Roger Marshall. Of course, he ran out early and didn't want to. Like, I called him out for his lies that day. He genuinely will just lie straight to your face without any evidence to support what he's asserting. And I find that genuinely, I think that there should be rules of ethics the politicians have to follow where they can't lie and mislead to us. And if they do, there needs to be consequences for that. But there's nothing right now as far as I know. But so that happened. I was doing the protesting. I was communicating online. I was asked by a friend who's got children my age to run for office. And so I started thinking about it. And the more that I started to like sort of venture out of my little bubble of, you know, my algorithms telling me the things that I think are right and reinforcing everything I believe, the more I started going, oh my God, well, if I believed everything that the people on the right believe that they're being shown in their algorithms, well, I might have voted the same way. So I said, okay, what's going on here? And then I started to realize, you know, if the people had the whole truth, we usually end up agreeing on a lot more than what we think. And now I've lived very different lives. I grew up in a conservative family in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and then married a Hindu man from Mumbai, India, and now I live in Overland Park, Kansas, and I'm more towards the left. But the point is, I've lived urban, suburban, and rural, and we are all genuinely the same, right? We all just want to be able to take care of our families, to live a comfortable life. Most of us don't need 10 yachts to survive, but we just want to be able to live comfortably, have a work-life balance, and not be one medical disaster away from bankruptcy. And that's where a lot of us are. Like, genuinely, most of us are probably there right now. And so I was just done with public servants using their positions to tear us apart. I'm sick of the propaganda that they use to tear us apart. I'm sick of it has to be one black and white issue. Almost everything has nuance in between, right? Like almost everything. None of us have just one and done. And I'll give the example of, you know, every time that there's a school shooting, and I absolutely hate using tragedies as political fodder. I think it's abhorrent that that's what we've become. But for the sake of this, every time that happens, I'll see people on the left go, well, people on the right love their guns more than kids. And that's just not true, right? Not true. It's not true. Yeah. And the same thing with the SAVE Act, which I have a lot of issues with, but just for the purpose of this, I see the right saying, well, the people on the left want undocumented people to vote. They want to mess up that's not true either. Nobody's against secure elections.
Yeah.
They're against voter suppression under the guise of secure elections. So for me, if they really wanted to pass the SAVE Act, and again, I have a lot of problems with it, but if they really wanted to, all they have to do is address those same issues in the same act. Make sure every eligible voter has access to the documentation they need, put the onus on the government to get that documentation to them, and you can't charge for it because then it's a poll tax. And then at the same time, address the unequal access to the voting booth. I've never waited more than 5-10 minutes my entire life to vote. I know that there are people that have to wait hours in line to vote. It's inherently unfair. And so that's my thing, is if they wanted to solve problems, they could. We watched one of Joe Biden's State of the Union addresses, where he said that they came up with a bipartisan plan to address immigration. We do need immigration reform. And we watched as Senator Langford agreed and said that is true, we had it. But they wouldn't pass it because they want to use it as fodder to run in their next election. They're all just caring about themselves, and I'm just done with it. And so many people that I've met are on the same page as me. So
yeah,
that was a lot to say to answer that question, but
that was such a good answer. I've talked to a lot of people running for Congress over the last couple of months, and yeah, like you're saying all the right things. I'm so happy that you're running in my state because I get to vote for you.
Well, and I really, like, genuinely, we've built a movement that's not at all about me, and I say that all the time. We have people that have dedicated their lives to this, and they really believe in what we're trying to do here together. And it really is a movement by and for the people. And I will genuinely say to you, if you want a senator that's going to go and do this all by themselves, I'm not your girl. I need the people backing me. We have to be in it together. We're going to have to do the groundwork to win in November, and that's going to be no matter what. But genuinely, it's going to be all of us together, or it's going to be none at all.
Could you speak more broadly about how you are for actual reforms, like for things instead of just against Trump? You can't be just against Trump anymore. You have to be for things. So talk about broadly, what are you for in terms of reforms?
Well, and that's really interesting because for a long time I thought young people just weren't paying attention or they didn't care. But as I've done this, I've realized, no, they care a lot. They are paying very close attention, especially to where money's coming from, who's in control, who's in power, what are you going to do for them? And I don't blame them anymore. I'm going to vote blue no matter who this election, at least especially in the Senate and governor race. But I'm not going to be mad at people that can't do that because they don't feel like people are working for them. And genuinely, they're not working for us anymore. I want to enforce our antitrust laws. We've got to break up these monopolies and give some of the power back to the people and rebalance that wealth structure. We've got to make it possible for small businesses to thrive again. The antitrust is going to affect healthcare. It's going to affect farming. It's going to affect literally every industry because they have just consolidated and consolidated and consolidated, and it's just gotten so far out of hand. So we're really in the need. And I loved your video, so I'm going to plug him right now. He's got a video about the 2020s or the 1890s.
Oh yeah.
And it was so on point. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's exactly right. So, but I think we're at a place where we have to rebalance that power. We have to give young people the hope of a future. You and I are about the same age. So our generation is the first one that's set to be worse off than our parents. And so the people behind us have no hope. There are young people who are leaving the country, not having children, not getting married, because they don't see any hope of realizing that American dream.
What other issues, I guess, that would you say are meant to be more bipartisan? Like, because I have conversations with my conservative family too, and one example of something that we kind of all tend to agree on is term limits, stuff like that. So can you speak, like when you're talking to independents and Republicans around here, what do they agree with you on?
So this is an important one because when I started this, part of what I wanted to do was bridge that division because I have lived in, different types of communities, people with different mindsets, all of that. And so I kind of can understand where people are coming from, whether I agree with them or not. I have found one big thing is, institutional reform, which is my number one agenda issue is institutional reform. So term limits is a big one. Most of us want to see some form of term limits. Most of us want some form of accountability for our elected officials. So rules of ethics that they have to follow. I've got rules of ethics that I have to follow as a lawyer. Teachers have rules that they have to follow. Why aren't they at least held to the same standard that we're held to?
Or Supreme Court justices don't have, there's no code of ethics there.
There's just nothing. I mean, and so it's just, you know what? It would be great if we always had elected officials and public servants that were true in their desire to serve the people. But we've seen what happens, and people just are, they're people, you know? I mean, people are people, so nobody's perfect. So that term limits and those rules of ethics are huge. Big money out of our government is another big one. People are fed up with the wealthy buying our elections, with corporations being able to manipulate. And the one other big thing that we all agree upon is these data centers that are coming in, right?
Yes.
And like, for me, I understand we're gonna have to figure out the balance there, but that doesn't mean that they can just come in behind our backs and break ground before we even know what they're doing. That they can give incentives to these companies to come in at the expense of the people, and that they can sit there and not work for us. I've watched so many live streams of communities going to their city hall meetings, and so many times the elected officials are just like, our hands are tied, we can't do anything. Well, that's not an acceptable answer. Maybe you haven't figured out what you can do, but you're going to do something.
Yeah.
That's your job. That's what you've been elected to do. And if you can't do it, you need to resign and genuinely let someone else do it.
Yeah.
So that to me is something that we definitely, we need to figure out the implications, the environmental impacts. How do we mitigate those? Are these even necessary? Why so many all at once? I think that most of us have concerns about this just being more of a way to surveil all of us, you know? And we're seeing the flock cameras come in, and it's just, there's so much distrust with the government and the people right now. And there's so much of them just considering financial implications, business implications, without the real world implications of, and the impact on families and the people that live there in the communities. And the communities don't necessarily want to just focus on, oh, how much money will this bring in? They want to know, well, are my kids going to have jobs? Are my kids going to have water to drink? And I think that that's why so many moms are stepping up to run, because we're watching as they're destroying opportunities, the future for our kids, all of these things all at once. And nobody's listening to the people.
Yeah.
Nobody.
So I think just to kind of wrap this all up in a bow, you know, we have, again, you have a very competitive primary. And if somebody is in Kansas right now watching this, I'm hoping a lot of my viewers are from Kansas that will be voting on August 4th, or actually right now, because early voting has already started.
That's right, it's open.
So what would you say sets you apart from your 10 other, they're good people, but you know, what would make you a better senator than your 10 primary opponents in the Democratic Party?
You know, these are genuinely not normal times. We're in unprecedented times. We've never seen stuff like this before. And so some of these candidates would be great in a normal time. And while I think that they are probably... See, here's what I've learned, okay? What happens in our election, in a lot of our elections, is consultants create characters to sell to the people. And I will tell you, you don't need any brains in your head to run for office. Now, I'm not saying that my opponents don't have brains. I'm just saying you don't need brains in your head to run for office.
Some of them do listen to consultants.
You just need to be able
this.
to memorize lines and perform for the people. And it's backwards. It is so messed up. And so why am I the best candidate? I am one of the only viable candidates that has no ties to the establishment. Nobody has created me. They did try at one point, you should dress like this, you should do like this. And I tried it and I was like, I can't do this, guys. Like, I can't be anything other than who I am. And I'm very rough around the edges sometimes. I grew up with 2 older brothers and a father. That's how I was raised. And so I have a weird sense of humor, and it doesn't feed well to everybody, but I am as nice as I seem. My daughter, when I started this, somebody had asked me, well, how would you describe yourself? I was like, I don't know. So I asked my daughter, and she said, well, you're really, really nice, but you can adapt and be mean if you need to. And I think that's really on point. And right now we need somebody that can be nice to the people and respect the people and understand that they are there to serve the public and work for the public and work with the public to improve our lives, while at the same time not backing down from a fight when it's presented and needed. And that's who I am. I can do the polite, I can do all of those things, but I can also fight when needed. And right now I think we need somebody to fight. I think we need somebody that's not part of it. I think we need to rebuild the trust and restore integrity and accountability to our public offices. And I think that I can do that.
You're definitely a fighter and very inspirational. So I'm truly proud to endorse you for for Senate. So thank you for running.
This is really exciting, and it's been really exciting to meet you. And do follow Mr. Beat. He's got some amazing things. In fact, I bought your
sitting here promoting me.
I bought your US
follow Ann.
I bought your U.S. history chart to put on my wall. Yeah, that's really cool.
Oh.